My amplified unit, salute! This is what we call a double dose, a double-decker of amplification. Amped Up with BC for Tuesday, June the 13th, 2023. Just a few hours ago, we put up the first podcast, and here we are with a second. We are fully amplified, man. Maybe we're running on fumes from last night's wild, amped up live stream, where basically you guys got 2.0 back. And then early this morning, we filmed the Amped Up podcast, part 1 for today, and it featured the Raw review, and we were fully amplified. Over an hour of amplification in that review that you guys are absolutely rocking out right now. I just put it up a few hours ago as of the recording of this vid. Already a few thousand of you guys have caught it, and the super thankses have been on fire. In fact, at the end of this podcast, BC has to do basically a super chat section of a live stream for super thankses in a regular upload. Because there were so many super thankses just a few hours ago. Ash Stegmeister Steggles with a banger bomb. JR9 Gaming with a super thanks bringing back the roll-up counter. Oh, we're going to go over all of it, man. And just so much love and respect and appreciation to the channel by so many Amplified Unit members. I literally, at the end of this podcast, part 2 of Amped Up with BC, I have to spend the whole last section on giving those the proper shout-outs that they deserve. Because I just glanced at it before I started recording this Amped Up podcast, part 2 for the day. I just gave it a glance and I was taken back. I'm like, this has got to be from several uploads, right? Several podcasts. No, that was just from a few hours ago. Evidently, there's a lot of people in the community that feel like BC feels with this shitty product, and it shouldn't be. There's too much talent. There is, believe it or not, a lot of smart people within the company that should be holding each other up and accountable. And instead, we're getting the product that we're getting every Monday. If you're being truthful with yourself, you know deep down Monday Night Raw absolutely sucks. It is garbage. At this point, it's a forest fire, no longer a garbage fire. It's a forest fire that cannot be put out. And we made some people salty earlier. You guys saw the headline. You saw the thumbnail. For the PDRs, the Pinocchio Dick Riders, the Pinocchio Pussface Schnoz McGee HHH Hunter Hearst Helmsley Dick Riders, we made them salty in their tears, right? We got them all up in their feelings. But such is the case. The truth has to be told. This product is absolutely in dire straits right now. It is absolutely as low as we believe it can go, but every time we think that, it finds a new low. And only until we come together and tell the truth to people like Hunter Hearst Helmsley, only then can we determine the proper course of action to make it better. But if we're just going to lie and go, well, this was a decent show, BC can't trash this because you saw maybe 1 or 2 segments you didn't mind or something made you LOL, and now you're gonna come to BC's channel and I'm supposed to spew BS to my audience? Oh, this was a decent show last night. Not the best, not that good, but decent. Signs of improvement. No, I'm not that guy in the community that's going to give mulligans or lower my bar so we can all feel good about a Monday night show. No. The bar is set. Reach it. Obtain it. And that leads me to today's podcast. I have the number for Monday Night Raw. Let's see if BC's critique was accurate, right? The numbers will always back up if I'm right or wrong. And before you shout, well, playoffs, BC, that's why it might be a low number. It was an elimination game for the Heat, BC. Not so fast. I have staggering numbers about the playoff games, about last night's final, crowning the Nuggets as champions, and surprising numbers for the Heat and the Celtics that drew a bigger number than last night's NBA final, when Raw pulled a better number than it did last night. So my point is, before you cry NBA playoffs, know what you're talking about. No, Raw pulled a dismal, absolute horrendous number last night because Raw sucked. That's the truth. BC has facts for you. We'll go over the number. We're also going to talk the AEW fan base. A lot of AEW fans are saying, that's it, I'm throwing in the towel because an AEW referee is about to get into the ring for some weird six-man tag. Wait till you hear this. AEW fans not too happy. Hulk Hogan drawing criticism from a lot of fans over what he just said about today's current wrestlers, or at least a lot of them. BC will talk about it. We'll see if it's justified. And again, at the end of this podcast, I have a lot of shout outs to do for my amplified unit. I'm going to give you guys a super thanks. So let's waste no more time. I'm going to go get a fresh coffee from the little mini fridge I got here in the office studio. I'm going to down that, come right on back. Let's get amplified again. All right, unit. Who's ready to rock? For those about to rock. Who's that? AC/DC, correct? Let's jump into, let's just go right for the big stories, man. We'll get to the Hulk Hogan thing. I got a lot of shout outs to do with my amplified unit for sending BC. Massive shout outs. But we're going to start with the Monday Night Raw rating. This was a show that I heavily critiqued just a few hours ago. You guys are thoroughly enjoying that, by the way. About to hit 400 already on the ups. We are about to hit 3,000 on the views. And that's just from a few hours ago. Anyway, real time anyway, views. So you guys are absolutely lighting that on fire. And we're most likely making people cry as well that try to defend the product. To which BC would say, "Well, why are you not watching the network on Peacock? Why are you not watching WWE programming on Peacock right now? Why are you not watching a replay of Monday Night Raw last night or watching the highlights on the YouTube machine? Why are you watching BC Amplified rip the shit apart? Could it be BC Amplified is more entertaining than the show, and that's why you're watching?" Yeah, I think that's what it is. You would like BC to speak so positively of it because we all love pro wrestling. We want to speak about a positive WWE show. And you're hoping every Monday night when you tune into BC on Tuesday mornings, you're hoping that I'm going to speak positively. But until they give us a show to speak positively about, BC ain't going to BS y'all. So you came to the wrong place, wrong channel, Jack. Go find another content creator that claims they once spoke truth and now they call it a decent show every week. That's not going to be BC. Absolutely not. Not until they reach my level. I already gave them enough mulligans over the years. I'm done giving them the benefit of the doubt. Now, as a conglomerate, multi-billion-dollar conglomerate company that WWE is, you either get to my standard or I'm going to rip that shit apart. Justified. And you can cry all the tears you want. My unit will pass you the tear bucket. But that tells me everything I need to know. When you're on a BC channel or a BC upload, listening to a BC podcast telling me about you're all up in your feels, BC, you're so harsh, you're so negative, man. Measly, man, it was a decent show, man. What if you just stop watching it, BC? Hey, BC, why don't you just stop watching it, you negative BC, man? Yeah, but you keep watching BC and complain that BC is complaining about a show that you like to dick ride. So you're doing the same thing. The only difference is BC is not a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate juggernaut. That's what I'm covering. You're crying that BC's ripping this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate apart. What a fucking schmuck you'd be. But here we be. I like to make people cry a bit. I like to push buttons. I like to be the asshole. I like to be that dude that tells the truth. Because yes, I'm an asshole. Or at least I can be. But I am a truthful asshole. I am a fair asshole. And when pushed to the brink, you're gonna get the boogeyman. I like it. I like it. I like it. Cry for me, bitches. I love it. And that's what we did earlier, man. That review, absolutely ripping it apart, justified. Nobody else in the community's got the balls to call this out for what it is. This product sucks. Monday Night Raw completely sucks. Let's just say what it is. Let's cut the BS. Let's stop trying to appease anybody. Let's stop acting like it's good because we want it to be good. Let's just say what it is. It sucks. You're watching and you're listening to BC rip it apart instead of watching Raw over again or watching an old WWE pay-per-view. No, you're listening and watching BC because I am more entertaining. I'm dropping so much fucking truth, so much that just like the old saying goes, the truth hurts. I understand. Get yourself a Band-Aid. I don't know what to tell you. How much truth is BC really dishing, you ask, right? Well, let's go to the ratings. You're ready for Monday Night Raw? Last week, they scored a 1.828. Hey, they somehow dug themselves out of the 1.7s, and they leaned just a little bit. They flopped into the 1.8s. Remember when everybody said after football, the ratings would go back? This was before NBA playoffs, mind you. Football's done. Many Mondays of no competition, and they could 1.7, 1.8. They weren't even near 2 million. And I told you guys that over time, what happens is no more FOMO, right? No more fear of missing out because they've missed Raw for so many weeks. And when they did decide to tune back in, nothing changed. It was the same redundancy, same matches, no new storylines. They were like, oh shit, I missed 5 weeks in a row, came back, and I missed nothing. So they missed another 4 weeks, came back, missed nothing, and then they were just like, I'm totally done. I have no more FOMO, no more fear of missing out. So that's what happened, right? No more football. This was before playoffs for the NBA, and they're 1.7, 1.8s. People were like, oh, basically after football, man, you're going to see the 2-2s up front, and they'll be battling right back to 2-5, basically. I was like, are you that stupid? Like, how dumb were your fucking parents to have dumb sex and pop out a dumb motherfucker? To say that they're going to pop a 2.5 out of their ass. What's next? You're going to see fucking unicorns dropping fucking sprinkles and cherry fucking sundaes onto your dome piece every morning when you wake up? It's a unicorn! Spitting and shitting Sundays. They're going to go from, during football season, 1.6s and 1.7s, and they're automatically going to go to a 2.5 just because there's no football. You think 900,000 people are going to go, no more football, coming back to wrestling? No, that's not how it works. That's why ratings matter for the idiots, the schmucks that claim ratings don't matter. You don't know what you're talking about. Thankfully, BC does. So put in your earbuds, shut the fuck up, and listen. I'll preach it to you. Ratings matter because they tell us a story over time. It's all about a trajectory. When you keep going backwards for so long, your hole is being dug deeper and deeper. So by the time it is time to get out of that hole, it's so damn deep, it's going to take a long time, if at all, that you can get out of it. And that's what happened for Monday Night Raw. The hole got so fucking deep that when there was no more football, no playoffs yet for NBA, they couldn't get the hell out of that hole. You weren't getting 900,000 people back because at least, bare minimum, half of them have no more FOMO, no more fear of missing out. The other half couldn't be any more casual than they were. But they somehow found a way to be more casual, didn't they? Because they couldn't pull out of 1.7s and 1.8s. So then you get the NBA playoffs, right? Didn't really change too much. They were still hovering 1.7s, 1.8s. Again, last week, 1.828. So then you go to this week, right? Now you have a game. It's not even game 7. This was a complete wipeout. Miami Heat got one game. Other than that, it was like 4-1. So I think this was a 5-game series, correct? 4-1. Didn't even go to 6 games. We all knew this was going to be a washout. Many people thought it was just going to be a 4-0 sweep. This is what you call a gentleman's sweep when you give them one game. And nobody was taking this series seriously. 4-1. The Nuggets from Denver win the championship last night. And Monday Night Raw scored a 1.595. 1.595. They didn't just go, even with the playoffs, if it was a dominant number, we thought, okay, they're going to be low 1-7s, top 1-6s. They found a way to go into the 1-5s, high 1-5s at least, but they found some way imaginable to dip into the 1-5s. And before you cry about NBA playoffs, mind you, they went head to head. I think it was the Game 7 Heat Celtics, correct? The last game with the Celtics in the Heat. When that number pulled much higher than the game last night between Nuggets and Miami. That game pulled higher. In the game that went head-to-head with the Heat and the Celtics with WWE Raw pulled a better number than last night. And that was the bigger number for the NBA, and that was the most intriguing matchup for the NBA. Again, numbers would show that. They complement one another. The excitement will always show in the number shows with the excitement. So we saw that. So what's my point, right? Not to confuse you. So my point is, WWE had pulled a better number before with a higher rated NBA game. So with a lower rated NBA game, and WWE absolutely cascades into the 1-5s, you are now forced to deal with the truth that is smacking you upside the dome piece like a brick. WWE pulled a 1-5-9-5 last night. WWE lost over 200,000 people, over 230,000 people in 1 week because the show sucked. Sorry, not sorry. If you can deal with that truth, you're probably going to be a badass Amplified unit member going forward. In fact, if you ever want to join the channel in the membership and become a gold member, I wouldn't mind that. Right? It's a process. Everybody that comes in, you just don't gain my respect just because you joined. Joining the channel as a gold card member is the first step. You also have to gain my respect as we go along. I'll start to see the names, see how your way of thinking is, see the level of respect you show to the channel, to BC and other unit members, and then over time you gain my respect. But it starts with your mentality to take the truth, right? And decipher, even if you love a wrestler or a show or a brand, if you can call out the truth and know how to dissect it and critique it properly, then that's the first step of just telling the truth. Being a smart fan, literally, not just by the definition of WWE terminology or pro wrestling terminology. We're smart fans. No, a true smart fan knows exactly right from wrong, truth from fiction. Not just what we like and dislike, because that's preference. That's opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one and they're usually full of shit. I don't care about opinions. I need facts. And I need people on the channel that are going to drop facts. Those are gold card members. That's the Amplified unit. So, that's the truth that you're going to have, some way, you're going to have to deal with today and going forward. WWE is so bad that they've gotten into the 1-5s because they suck. You can blame playoffs all you want. The sad truth is, if there was no playoffs, as a numbers guy that follows the trends and the trajectories of these statistics, metrics, and numbers, the best they would have done would have been mid to high 1-6s. That's the best they would have done without NBA playoffs. We've already cracked the numbers. Middle to high 1-6s without NBA playoffs. That's the best they would have done without NFL competition. The 1-6s. That's acceptable? Of course it's not. And we keep moving the goalpost. We keep moving the goalpost. It used to be the demos, right? And then we moved on from that to year to year over year it's called, right? YOY, year over year number. Well, basically, several weeks have been better year over year. Well, a lot of weeks, it's not better year over year. And there's many reasons for that too. Let's not forget. You got to know what you're talking about. You can't go over the year over years without mentioning the massive gaps and the massive catastrophic drops in viewership. that absolutely negate them. We don't want to talk about that. Most people don't even know what they're talking about, right? They come across a Brandon Thurston, they see some cool little numbers, and they go, wow, year over year, WWE's amazing. They pulled a 1.595. That's not playoffs. That's not presidential speeches. It's not a holiday. It's not the NFL. It's nothing like that. You know why they pulled a 1.595? It's because the show sucks. And I seem to be the only critic in this community that absolutely dissects this shit the way it needs to be so that company can hopefully wake up. But the more people lie to themselves and sugarcoat and BS and stroke the fucking ego among other things on Paul Levesque, Pinocchio dick riders, PDRs, is what I call those fans. As long as people do that, Paul will never change. He'll keep straddling things on Vince McMahon and have his schnoz up Vince's ass. Vince won't change, Paul Levesque won't change, Kevin Dunn won't change, Nicholas Khan won't change. Nobody will change. Why would they? There's enough dick riders, there's enough sugarcoaters, and there's enough BSers to put this company exactly where it needs to be. Ratings are going down, numbers are dropping in the droves, by the droves. Viewership, audience, flying away in droves. But the company is pulling record revenue from streaming services in countries like Saudi Arabia, right? Millions and millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billion-dollar deals, blockbuster billion-dollar deals. They don't care if fans are being driven away in droves. They don't give a shit. The money's there, and there's enough fans, and they're the fans that they need, the dick riders, the ones that'll show up and for a whole segment go, for 20 minutes. And the one segment that BC was actually interested in, because Balor kept saying, this is important, this is as serious as I'm ever going to be. I was actually into that. I was like, I can't wait for Balor to have probably one of his best promos ever. And the crowd couldn't even shut the fuck up to let him speak. So you know what happened? It fucked them all up. And the promo was still decent. What he said still made sense. Sethington's rebuttal was all right. Right? That actually, it could have been and should have been much better. It was one of the only segments I didn't mind, and I just couldn't help but think, man, that should have been so much better. Balor just got so fucked up. The crowd wouldn't shut the fuck up. It's a zombie apocalypse, and they're all thinking they're fucking conductors. Even Sethington Sethington was even pissed off. He's yelling at Finn, just say it. He's telling the crowd, all right, you're too kind, thank you, now shut the fuck up. I don't know what you wanted from this show. Cody and Miz, was that really going to do anything to the playoffs anyway? Is that really going to excite you with or without playoffs, Cody and Miz? Cody takes 10 plus minutes to defeat Miz. I've seen Miz get beat by most of the roster in less than 2 minutes. Cody Rhodes needs to take more than 10 minutes. He's bloodied. He's sweating like he just worked for 46 hours straight. Cody Rhodes looked like he went through a fucking war. Guys, it's The Miz. Becky Lynch and Zoe Stark acting like they really want to fight each other when Becky's screaming from inside the ring while Zoe is at the ramp on top of a ladder screaming back at Becky. Are we toddlers in elementary school? Can Becky not leave the ring? Is it like a forest field? Is it like Fort Knox? If I could get out of this ring, I'd go right up that ramp, Zoe. And what the fuck is Zoe doing on top of a ladder? Get the fuck down, will you? Zoe's on top of a ladder screaming into the ring at Becky. Get off the ladder. You got big muscle. Get down there and tell Becky how you feel by a punch in the stars. I'd break your face, she says. If I could get off the ladder, I got up. I don't know how to get down. And Becky's like, yeah, well, you're lucky, because if I could get out of the ring, I'd fucking hit you in the nose. I got in the ring. I don't know how to get out of the ring. What are we doing? I'm just asking a question. What are we doing? We got fruit roll-ups galore. Fruit roll-up galore. You got a Viking Raider, a guy who was in War Machine, who now has to go out there and pretend he's a Viking. and he's getting rolled up last night in less than 2 minutes. Viking Eric gets rolled up in 2 minutes. That's acceptable? Raquel Rodriguez rolled up in 2 minutes. Ironically, to the roll-up queen, the one that gets rolled up all the time in less than 2 minutes, Shayna Baszler. Back-to-back roll-ups is okay with you? A main event where Imperium loses another match. They've only won one match since March. As Imperium, with Kaiser anyway. One match since March. They've had 17 televised matches. They've lost them all but one. And you got Gunther in there taking an L. His name is on the L sheet. You got your IC champion in there taking weird bumps. Gunther could not have looked more average AF than he did last night, and that he has been. Paul Levesque is botching Gunther. I could keep going. This is all top. I have no notes in front of me. No notes. And if you want more detailed of amplification on this show, check out the podcast from earlier. The first Amped Up podcast of the day that I put up a few hours ago, it's featuring the entire Raw review. Check it out. Because I can keep going. This whole show just doesn't make sense. Nothing on Paul Levesque in Paul Levesque's WWE. Nothing makes sense. Don't even get me started on the fucking titles. I mean, you could pick anything and it doesn't make sense. The world title. Does anybody remember that was supposed to be Raw exclusive? That's what Pinocchio said. The only entity that lies more than the actual Disney Pinocchio is WWE's residential Pinocchio, Paul Levesque. He's the only person that lies more than the actual Pinocchio. And he stood right in that ring, and he said, whatever brand Roman goes to, that's where that title's going to go. And we're going to make a whole new title. And then what happens? SmackDown talent is in on it. AJ Styles is going for it. He's SmackDown talent. So he lied. And now we have Sethington showing up to NXT to answer Braun Breaker's challenge. So now the title's being defended in NXT. You said it was exclusive to Raw. This guy doesn't even follow his own shtick, his own words. He probably doesn't even know what he's saying anymore. And or he's hoping we just forget every word that comes out of his mouth. In one ear, out the fucking other. Because we should know by now he lies so much, and he's hoping that we already know that. And on top of that, let's stick with the world title, because nothing makes sense at all with this championship. And I use that term loosely. It is a runners-up participation trophy, but let's stick with that for a second. We set up this match last night. Balor has to wait until July 1st, Money in the Bank, to have a shot at the World Championship, even though we just saw Balor versus Sethington all of last year in this big United States Championship feud. We're acting like this is the first rematch since SummerSlam many years ago when Balor defeated Rollins with that one arm. Like, oh, they're billing this like the rematch, years in the making. No, they just had many matches for the U.S. title just in 2022. Right, I remember November was one of their last one-on-one matches. Last month, they were just facing each other for this World Championship shit. I just saw Balor and Sethington in the ring last month. So we're acting like this is a big deal. BC doesn't forget all those matches they've already had. But let's forget that for a second. Let's just say that, okay, they're going to bump up this matchup big over the next couple of weeks. Balor is going to get his chance at the world, this new championship, July 1st. And do you know what Sethington does right after Raw last night? He says, I'm issuing an open challenge next week in Cleveland. I must be nuts. That's what he said. That's almost a quote. If I'm paraphrasing it, I'm moving maybe a word or two. He says, I'm issuing an open challenge in Cleveland. I must be nuts. So we're doing all of these open challenges with the World Championship, with all the titles lately anyway. It's the easiest way out for WWE. Make a bunch of multi-person schmaz matches for number one contenders. Have a bunch of fucking open challenges. Why would Balor have to wait till July 1st, but the rest of the roster could just show up next week and go, I want a title match. Anybody can just go out there. That makes the locker room look like idiots. When one person answers the challenge next week, that tells us that the whole roster did not want a chance at the world title. But then again, with the WWE, I shouldn't be shocked. Remember, Paul Levesque is the guy who had Austin Theory cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase during an open challenge in the middle of a Monday Night Raw. Money in the Bank for a mid-card title, mind you, not world. This was the United States Championship in the middle of Monday Night Raw during an open challenge. And Paul Levesque had Austin Theory cash in. You can't make that up. And when he was asked a week later, why did you do that? Most people would go for the world title, and they would not do it during an open challenge when you could have just answered the challenge and still kept your briefcase. And Austin Theory goes, whatever, man. I knew I wasn't going to beat Roman. Let's be honest. Roman is so dominant right now. There's no chance I had to beat him. That's what he actually said. I had no chance, so I went for the mid-card title. Never really rectifying answering why he did it during an open challenge, because that's a Paul Levesque loophole that he fucking missed out on, right? Or not even a loophole. That's just a botch of epic proportions for Paul Levesque. But we'll just blame it on Vince. No, it wasn't Paul. That seemed like a Vince McMahon decision made. Nope, that was Paul Levesque. We can confirm that. And then a few months later, what does Theory say? I want to be in the Royal Rumble because I want a shot at Roman Reigns. So you have to go through 29 other people in a match just to earn the same opportunity you already had, which you blundered because you said you didn't want Roman Reigns. That doesn't... What? So I shouldn't be shocked that this is what we're doing and all this open challenge BS continues. I told you guys when this title first was implemented and it went over to Sethington, I said, it seems to me like they're doing the exact same thing they did in 2022, just last year, with the U.S. title on Sethington. And they were hoping that people would look at that like it's a world title, but we never did. The title on Sethington was boring. The reign was stale. We didn't even understand Sethington's character. In fact, if he didn't have the sing-along, it would still be the odd reaction to Sethington. But if you guys realize, that's exactly what they're doing with this new Runners-Up Participation Trophy Championship. They're just recreating what they did with the U.S. title. Now it just has the name, finally, of world title. This is what Paul Levesque wanted with the U.S. title last year. And it fell flat on his face. Paul Levesque failed miserably. So he creates this new title. That's going to be what he envisioned the U.S. title being. And if you keep doing these open challenges, bro, you're going to have the adverse effect. I'm telling you right now. And I could keep going on and on with this company. I mean, lately we've been firing on all cylinders, man. We have been literally amplified to the max, amplified to the highest of measures, because this company, recently I've noticed that they're making just the dumbest mistakes and the biggest booking botches I've seen ever, man. And I've been through many years of really bad, horrendous, terrible Vince McMahon shit. But Paul Levesque's WWE makes even less sense. It's really insane, man. 1.595. I can go hours talking about fucking this company and just destroying it. But you know what? Plenty of podcasts to come where we can do that. But 1.595, and you'll have people going, well, playoffs. And then you have people going, well, actually not a bad number considering. And then they'll move the goalpost and they'll go to the demo. Well, 0.46, they only dropped 1 or 2 points, basically. Year to year, basically, there was a couple weeks where they were actually even and even better on this week right here, basically. Don't cherry pick. Don't do that. 1.595. And we are 2 weeks from Saturday to the big Money in the Bank. Doesn't sound good, does it? What do you guys want to go to now? Let's talk AEW, man. It's not too good over there, guys. I wish I could speak a little bit better about AEW, but fans are pissed. Fans are pissed off because a referee in AEW is about to get into the ring. Now, as of the recording of this podcast, I don't have an official date. I don't know if it's been announced yet, but it was weird. The match got announced before an actual date for it. Very odd. My boy Mark Briscoe was one of the first ones to actually break that. But it's a 6-man tag, intergender too, by the way. Mark and Papa Briscoe. And you guys know my 2 favorite tag teams in the world, the Briscoe brothers and the Usos. So you have Mark Briscoe and Papa Briscoe, along with Aubrey Edwards, AEW official Aubrey Edwards, getting into the ring. to take on Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Karen Jarrett. I'm not making this up. This is real. It was announced a few days ago. It's just we were waiting on the date for it for BC to really talk about it. But after I saw the fan backlash, and it just keeps growing and growing and getting more, I mean, they're digging themselves into a deeper hole. It got to the point where BC has to talk about this. I mean, AEW fans are literally throwing in the... Guys, I literally saw fans going, that's it, I'm done. Supported from day one, bought all the AEW t-shirts, got all the pay-per-views, front row for an event. I can't do this. You said you were different than WWE. That's not an alternative. In fact, it's not just WWE light, as some fans are saying. This is old school WCW right before they went out of business. They better be careful with this shit. I'm actually okay with it at the surface. It's just not the time. Tony Khan just is doing everything too fast. A second big show like Rampage was not needed, A, but B, it was going to actually be a detriment to Dynamite. And BC was right all along. Rampage has become a detriment. I think it has hurt Dynamite's ratings to where they are right now. And I also think that Rampage being in the 200,000s back in its normal time slot this week, that was the only outcome that we could have expected. Because it was way too early to throw in basically what Thunder was to Nitro or SmackDown was to Raw. And Thunder ended up failing miserably, by the way, but SmackDown came so far after Monday Night Raw has been on the air for years and years and years that was able to succeed. It had feet to stand on, legs to stand on. Tony Khan just threw it out there, just like Forbidden Door. I mean, you may love New Japan Pro Wrestling. You may love the concept of Forbidden Door. It might fit you, the niche, diehard fan of AEW. But guys, if you're talking about growing a business and smart business, that wasn't smart to do Forbidden Door that quickly. And did Tony Khan learn his lesson? No, he's doing another one. You're going to alienate the fans that are trying to get a rhythm for the product. You want a rhythm, a proper rhythm. You go from a double or nothing and you start talking about a Forbidden Door with a bunch of people that, let's be honest, a lot of fans are not going to know about. And the diehard, tried and true tribalist fans are going to say, well, that's your problem. You got the Google machine. You got YouTube. Do your research. Don't ruin it for us. They shouldn't have to work that hard to support a company like AEW. There's a time and place for the Forbidden Doors. Get your ball bearings. Make sure Dynamite is consistently pulling in 1.2s to 1.5s, right? Get your buy rates to 1.7s to the 2.0s up front. Once you have your ducks lined up in a row and your ball bearings according, then you can start doing stuff like Forbidden Door, adding second and third shows. Now we have Collision when Rampage is literally dying a slow death, and now it's just faster. They're in the 200,000s in its normal time slot this week. Wow! They literally, I knew it was possible, but I always said it like a joke. Soon they're going to be in the Law and Order Blue Bloods ratings, right? And then the network will kick it off there because it's a lot cheaper to run reruns of Blue Bloods and Law and Order. But here we are. They're almost to that level. If they hit the low 200,000s, they're booted off the air. That's why ratings matter, by the way. And that's just, so they just do so, and now they're doing weird shit like putting Aubrey Edwards into a wrestling match with the wife of Jeff Jarrett, Karen Jarrett, who used to be Karen Angle. That's a whole nother soap opera. That's right. Kurt Angle's wife. Yeah, that's a whole... Yeah, don't ask. So, this is all the stuff that we heard. This is what AEW is different for. And if you don't like it, just don't watch it. But this is AEW. We produce bangers and 10-star matches, man. It's about the sporting aspect of Beef Lee. No, it's not. It's still entertainment. Sports entertainment is pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is sports entertainment. You may not like that. That may make you cry. Tough shit. If you're an AEW fan and you truly thought you're pro wrestling and the other guys are just sports entertainment, have you not seen enough in AEW to make you realize you are not any fucking different? And this, for a lot of people, was the final nail in the coffin. Aubrey Edwards, an AEW referee, getting into the ring in a 6-man/woman tag with a wife of one of the wrestlers, Jeff Jarrett. And and I love the person, Papa Briscoe. Many people say, wow, this sounds like WWE to me. No, I'll do you one worse. Sounds like old school WCW right before they went out of business. This is your AEW, bro. You put that flag into the ground. If you're a tribalist for it, good luck defending this shit. But a lot of fans, honestly, AEW diehards, man, they're speaking out and they're being vocal about it. They're not happy. See where it leads to, man. And again, if anybody knows when that date is going to be, what show that is, post it up if you don't mind. Hulk Hogan. Speaking of criticism, man, Hulk Hogan pissed a lot of people off. A quote in a recent interview, and this just caught my eye literally about a half an hour before recording, so you guys can look it up yourself, the actual publication, or maybe it was a podcast, but Hulk Hogan says that most of the wrestlers today look like they should be bagging my groceries. And a lot of people, it's an uproar, right? People just like to be offended by everything these days. That's why BC made a decision a long time ago. I don't give a fuck if I offend you. I don't care if you say I'm negative, you call me an asshole, and you call me, I don't give a shit. I'm an amplified man, 24/7, IRL. That's what I am. That's what I be. I made it a point to offend motherfuckers just to watch them squirm. I don't give a fuck if you're offended, bro. But that's what we get these days. So everybody's up in arms, right? People are like, oh my God, that's disrespectful to baggers at the supermarket. What's Hulk Hogan trying to say? Without them, he can't get food in his bags. I'm pretty sure he can put, I know his back is fucked up and is walking because of his back from all the years of leg drops. But I'm pretty sure Hulk Hogan can put eggs and bread and fucking Ben & Jerry's ice cream and Haagen-Dazs into a fucking bag. So relax. I'm sure he wasn't just trying to shit on baggers. But he was shitting on a lot of today's pro wrestlers. And you know what? There was no lies detected. I'm not saying he should. I'm not dissing today's pro wrestlers. You know, I know you guys love your Rico shits and your Drew Gulaks and your Action Andretti's and your Dante Martins and your, did I say Dan Garcia? Your little Dan Garcias. Your little Jungle Boys. Sammy Guevara. I like Sammy Guevara. Shit. You know, who else, man? I don't know. You guys love all your little Alis. And so many others. Your little Butches. But he's right. Just because you like, I just said, I like several of those dudes. But he's right. I always talk about larger than life. If you walk by these dudes in a supermarket, you wouldn't look twice. You wouldn't go, oh shit! Oh shit, it's Dan Garcia! You wouldn't go, whoa! Oh fuck, it's Joe Gulak! That's Ninja Tozawa! You wouldn't do that, man. They're not larger than life. You'd walk by them and think they're going to start their shift bagging the groceries. That's not a knock. Well, I don't know what that says about the wrestling world. That could be a big part of why the numbers are where they are, and fans that just want bangers and 10 stars from Melty Boy. You know, maybe that has hurt the product so much. Kayfabe is basically dead, and if it goes fully dead, then there is no more pro wrestling. Everybody has a match, and then they go on social media, and the guy they just fought, they're eating steak dinner together laughing. That's the picture on social right after they had a contest. That's wrestling today. But as long as the fans see somebody on TV that resembles them, that they think, hey, that reminds me of myself, or my good buddy Jerry, or Terry, or Timmy. I could do what they're doing, man. I'm five, what are you, 5'7", 5'8", $140? You can do it, Timmy. Hey, Jerry, what are you? Are you 5'8"? Are you at least $162? You could be in the ring. That's basically where we're at, man. You know, I want to say, you know, size doesn't necessarily matter if it's a few dudes. Like when you had Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, and I just saw a documentary on Chris Candido. Size doesn't matter if you could actually bring it. You got the mic skills, the mannerisms, you know how to sell properly, and you are just literally not Lex Luger, but you are the total package. And you're checking off every box. Then you know what? We can look right past your size. And you could actually be larger than life. A lot of people looked at Bret Hart as such, or Shawn Michaels. These days, people are even smaller than that, by the way. But you could still be. I think the point is now pro wrestling is, I would say easily over 85% small dudes. So it does take the mystique away if you're at an airport or if you're in the supermarket. You know, whereas growing up, I got to look up to Big Daddy Cool Diesel Kevin Nash. I was looking up at The Undertaker or Sid Vicious or Barry Windham or Big Van Vader or Yokozuna or Mabel, Giant Gonzalez. I'm not saying they were all good. That's where you say, well, but you see, I would take Daniel Bryan over Giant Gonzalez any day. I get it, trust me. But I'm just saying they were just like, your jaw was dropped, you didn't even know it. You were in shock when you saw these guys walk into a mall or into a restaurant and you just happen to fucking see it and you'd be in awe. And wrestlers today, you wouldn't even know they're wrestlers, man. If they put on a ball cap for sure, you have no idea. You're probably taller than them and bigger than them, man. BC's got bigger muscles than a lot of the talent today. That's a shame, actually. I shouldn't be bigger than most of the talent, or at least a lot of it, but I am. I don't know what that says. But Hulk Hogan's getting a lot of heat. Should he have said it? What are you, the Hulk Hogan fucking police? He's got to go through you to say shit? If he feels like a lot of wrestlers today look like they should be bagging groceries, guess what? That guy has pushed more money for that company than anybody else. The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, and a couple of others in different aspects and avenues for sure as well. No question. Stone Cold, all them, absolutely bringing in boatloads of money. But Hulk Hogan was the originator, man. And many say WWE would have never gotten off the ground to where it is without Hulk Hogan putting the company on his back. The dude knows a little bit something about being larger than life. Yeah, it's a different day and age. It's a different pro wrestling. And you know what? When Hulk Hogan was around, it was a lot hotter. And I'm not just talking the golden era, the late 80s into the 90s. I'm talking the late 90s into the 2000s when you had the NWO Hollywood Hogan. NWO relit the wrestling world on fire. Hogan did that when he turned at Bash at the Beach and joined the Outsiders. Hulk Hogan, many times, it's like Chris Jericho. They reinvent themselves and they reignite the wrestling business. It's incredible. Jericho's another one, not that big, but he found a way to keep reinventing and reinvigorating people's interest. But you can say what you want about Hulk Hogan. But man, back in the day, guys, if you're younger, I really wish you were around back then. Because when I say that we felt something when they came through the curtain, I mean we felt something. Guys, when their music played, you were rocketed out of your seat. When the Ultimate Warrior's music played and he came running down at 190 miles an hour, you were electrified. Oh yeah, Macho Man with Miss Elizabeth or Queen Sherry, yeah. When the Macho Man's music hit, that graduation song, and Macho Man came down on his tiptoes, you were in awe, captivated. When Hulk Hogan's music hit, when it comes crushing down and it hurts inside, you were electrified. Nowadays, pick a wrestler. The music hits, I don't feel anything. Bob Lashley, Sethington Rollins, Roman's at least cool when his music hits and he comes out and they all do the ones. And now they're imploding that, so you won't even have the whole bloodline doing the ones. That was the only cool entrance, I guess. Ali, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus. There's nobody. Nobody's music hits, and I'm like, wow. I didn't even remember getting out of my seat, but somehow I'm out of my seat. It's sad. So you can bash Hogan all you want, but you know what? I didn't see any fucking lies in what he said. Guys, amplified unit. That's what I got for you, but I am not done. You know why? There was a lot of super thankses in the stream that I just put up just a few hours ago. And I'm going to get them up right now. And let me get them up because there was a lot. I don't know what happened in that streamer. Maybe a lot of you guys just felt exactly like BC and you're just happy that somebody is saying it as truthful as I am. Maybe you guys were still just on fumes from the amplification from last night that we all partook in, and we're still fully amplified like BC was recording that. But first and foremost, I got to give a massive shout out, Stegmeister Ash Steggles. I am not bullshitting here at all. A 50-spot banger bomb. And the super thanks is, I don't think that's ever happened before. This is a first. Stegmeister Ash Steggles with a banger bomb in the super thanks. When I saw that, I thought it was a mistake. I thought maybe it was from last night. No, that is in this my last upload from a few hours ago being acknowledged in this very podcast. Can't believe it, man. Stegmeister, dude, I always say this. You know how to jumpstart a live stream. Now I gotta say you know how to jumpstart a fucking regular amped up podcast. Stegmeister says, I hate the women's championships being the exact same as the men's championships. They need to stand out like they used to, so the casuals are going, wow, she's the women's champion, and not saying she's got the exact same title as Roman/Sethington. Oh, and don't worry, I dropped a Macho Man elbow drop on the like button. I appreciate that, Ash, because I forgot to even mention that in this whole 45 plus minutes of part 2 of the podcast today. I forgot to even mention, smash that up on the way in. Oops. So, Stegmeister, that's what I love about my gold members, my tried and trues, and my red team as well, my entire amplified unit, but especially my gold team, is they know without me saying a word to smash that up and help out the algorithm. Stegmeister, put in the Macho Man elbow drop on that son of a bitch. As far as your super thanks comment, Stegmeister, this is what you call lazy 101 in pro wrestling for WWE for Schnoz McGee. They come up with the concept of new titles, and that's as far as they get. It's like they start over-smoking, overheating. I am all out of ideas, shutting down now. And Paul Levesque and his team of goons, they shut down. Oh, the titles just matched the fucking men's. They sent out these, they drew with a fucking crayon and a Post-it note. They gave it to the title maker, and they just said, yeah, just make the women's ones like the men's. We don't have time to come up with another concept. The title creator's like, are you sure? Because we can do different design. No, just make them the same. They're just toys to be sold in aisle 5 of Target anyway. That's all this is, guys. They want them to look the same. So that the girl, right? If you're in a family with the little girl and the little boy and they both watch wrestling, they can go and they can find the same title. Just one's the women's, one's the men's. But they both look the same. Nobody can fight and they're both going to buy them. Mine's the white strap women's one. Well, mine's the world title. They don't care. As long as there's the big W in the middle, that's all they care about. Marketing 101, laziness 101. I completely agree, but you know that, Ash. Stegmeister. Rockstar, man. To the next level. I love that commercial. You ever see the Gene Simmons commercial? Will you guys stop calling each other rock stars if you're not actually a rock star? I think it's for like Workspace or something. And everybody at work calls their coworkers rock stars. But no, either you're a rock. I do agree with that. Either you're a rock star or you're Ash motherfucking Steggles, the Stegmeister. Because he's earned rock star status, man. That was... I had to do a double take when I saw that before recording. Stegmeister, man. Rock out. Mark Chisholm. Mark with a 5-spot coffee says, much love to the amplified unit and to the amplified man. No other channel even comes close with 4 massive biceps to close out the super thanks comment. Mark Chisholm. I'm going to read that again if you don't mind because I'm humbled by those words. Much love to the amplified unit and to the amplified man. No other channel even comes close. Mark, appreciate you, man. I appreciate the coffee. It's never needed. Always appreciated. Big thanks, man. Those words mean a lot. I don't take them for granted. Just know that. You know, coming from my amplified unit, it means that I'm doing my due diligence. I'm doing my job in creating the best entertainment that's the most informative, dropping the most facts for you guys. So that's why those words always mean a lot. Mark Chisholm, I appreciate that. Also, I see JR9, but I gotta wait on JR9's because we're actually good. That's numbers, so I want to save that till last. WWE AEW Marvel fan with a 2-spot coffee says Kurt Angle says Charlie Flair is the best wrestler in the world. I respect Kurt Angle, I really do, but what the fuck is this kind of take from someone that I respect? What about Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, Naomi, Ember Moon, Asuka, Io Sky? Charlie Flair can't sell, can't connect a moonsault, can't connect with the crowd, and doesn't have a character to make her even get over. You basically just said everything I said in the last 2 streams, last 2 uploads, last 2 podcasts. So WWE AEW Marvel fan, you know I feel the same damn way. Appreciate you, man. Big time. I appreciate the coffee. Jimmy Fingers 19. I was not able to see in the live stream for members only. The chat last night was for channel members only, Gold Team. And I didn't see Jimmy Fingers 19, unfortunately. But there he is, man, throwing a coffee over to BC in the upload a few hours ago. Super thanks comment by Jimmy Fingers 19. LOL. Bye, calling Gunther Walter Gunther and Chops McGee. Did I say that? I know I called him Walter Gunther. That's right. I did say Chops McGee, didn't I? You know, when BC's flowing, I think I had my 3rd coffee by that point. I'm fully amplified on this shit show, Jimmy Fingers. And if I'm talking about Gunther, I must have been talking about the main event, which is deep into the hour at that point. So I'm just like, I was probably extra amplified by the end of that podcast. A little bit earlier. Jimmy Fingers 19. Appreciate you, bro. Too funny. If I missed anyone, guys, I will get you absolutely in the next podcast. I'm going through a lot. There was a lot of other comments, well over 100 comments already on that. So I'm not able to see or read all of them. Right? People always go, Beasley is such an asshole. He doesn't read all of his comments. Well, first of all, I put up a lot of uploads every week, and a lot of them get anywhere between 50, 75 to 100 comments. Well, if you do 5 or 6 up front, guys, that's like 750 to 1,000 comments a week. Could you imagine getting 750 to 1,000 texts or emails a week? You're not going to be able to read them all. You would love to, but you can't. So relax, man. I'm doing the best that I fucking can. The highlighted comments, which are super thankses, those are the ones I'm able to read, and because that's another level of support to the channel, so they get a shout out back. But I appreciate everybody that lays down a comment and contributes and raises discussion within the unit. I love it. And there are many times where I'm in the coffee line and I get to read a lot of them. So I love it, man. But there's a lot. You can't read every comment at times, man. I don't know many content creators that can read every fucking comment. Of successful content creators, anyway. I mean, if they got like 100, if they got a couple hundred fucking people as subscribers, and they only get 20 or 30 fucking comments every other fucking day, okay, maybe. Anyway, that's left field with a hockey stick talk. But I respect everybody that does, but just know, man, it'd be awesome to read every. It's just not possible. JR9 Gaming with a highlighted 2-spot coffee in the super thanks. Brilliant review, BC. Phenomenal job. Now, as promised, the 2023 roll-up and times champions have lost. Oh, the 2023 roll-up and times that champions have lost counter has finally returned, this time with NXT stats as well. If you're new to the channel, my right-hand man on the channel, JR9 Gaming, always leaves the most badass statistics with fruit roll-ups. Now, what's considered a roll-up, by the way, is anything that's you're holding your opponent down. We call that a roll-up. JR9 Gaming and BC both on the same page with that. So he knows what I'm looking for in counting that as a roll-up. If you're holding somebody down with your feet, your legs, your arm, that's a roll-up to me. You're holding somebody down for a pinfall. Pro wrestlers should have big muscles that can easily just fucking, even if it's not easy, but by the count of 3, just get your shoulder a centimeter off the mat, I would hope. So the fact that that does not happen, and it happens too often, these roll-ups, it's unacceptable. So JR9 started doing a counter. We haven't seen it in many weeks. But through this Super Thanks, it has returned. Now, JR9 says, starting with the roll-ups, this year, 34 of 229... 34, let's try that again. 34 of 295 WWE matches this year, which is 12% of the matches, ended via a roll-up finish. 34 of 295 matches, 12%. Basically, 12 out of every 100 WWE matches end the same way, a roll-up. 12 of every 100. That may not seem like a lot to you. That is way more than what should be going on in WWE. 12 out of every 100 catch somebody by surprise. They roll up a big, bad professional wrestler, and that wrestler can't just get his shoulder a centimeter up. 12 out of 100 tells me that if you're a pro wrestler, your finishing move should be the roll-up. JR9 says 21 have happened on Raw, 12 on SmackDown, 1 on pay-per-view. That was Brock's loss to Cody. Also, the main roster has had an increase of 16 roll-ups since last update, which was on April 21st. So the last time JR9 did this, April 21st, a couple of months ago. Little less than a couple months ago. And they've already had 16 more since. Wow. Whereas NXT had 12 of 163 matches, which is a 7% ending in roll-ups. Much better than the 12%. Now, NXT does have one show to SmackDown and Raw is 2, so 7 is kind of up there. In fact, JR9 says that in the next sentence here. So NXT is easily better than the main roster on roll-ups, but still should be way lower than 7%, more around 3 to 4 at most. Same way of thinking there, JR9 Gaming. 3 to 4, that's a window that's acceptable for BC for NXT. 6 to 7 main roster, I can live with that. I can be okay with that. Maybe I won't raise such a big deal. So both 3 to 5% lower within the next 6 months would be I think the goal. We're not asking them to move mountains, but 3 to 5% SmackDown, Raw, and NXT. If they can lower it 3 to 5%, BC will feel a lot better about roll-ups. Now for champions losing, and this is a massive difference, but first, to avoid any confusion, I should explain what the criteria is for this counter. A champ is classed to lose in any match they are pinned, submitted, DQ'd, counted out on losing team regardless if they took the pin or not. And it's also classed as a champ losing in a match they lose their title in. Now for the stats. I like that you counted that. Doesn't matter if you took it or not. You're part of the losing team. You're counted. I like that, JR9. 19 out of 78 WWE matches containing champions had a champion lose, which is 24% of the matches. 19 of 78 champions lost 24% of the time. How are you, the fan, supposed to look at them as champions if they're not looked at as champions because they're not champions? A champion wins. WWE has their champions lose. How do you look at them as champions if they're not booked as champions? Anyway, JR9, I'm sorry to keep putting my own input in between sentences here, but absolutely needs to be fucking discussed, man, because as I'm reading these statistics, I can't help but get infuriated. Whereas NXT has had champions losing 4 out of 34 matches, which is 12%. Again, half, which is good, but that is one show. But that's still cutting that in half. So I guess if you were to split the 24%, I know it's not equal Raw and SmackDown, but if you were to make it equal, 12% to Raw, 12% SmackDown, then 24% is the equal. So I guess every brand is equaling 12% with NXT. So it's still unacceptable. This is massive, as the 4 losses on NXT for champs was when they dropped their titles. So for the entirety of 2023, no champs have lost a single non-title match in NXT, which is exactly how they should be booked. Okay, so those were actually when they dropped the titles. Big difference. Good call. Massive props to HBK for doing what Triple H isn't doing, treating champions like, well, actual champions. Funny you said that. I literally just said that, Jared9, and I did not read this beforehand. I wanted to read this live with my amplified unit, or at least in this recording. So that's funny you say that. It's exactly what I said. If you're not going to book them like champions, we can't view them as champions. Props to HBK on that. As if you take the 5 title changes away from the main roster stats, you still had champions lose 14 meaningless non-title matches in just the first 6 months of 2023. Simply horrendous, and it is a major reason why Raw and SmackDown are 2 awful products right now. Mic drop. Jared9, mic drop. That's the way to end this podcast, bro. You are exactly fucking right. One of the many reasons why Raw and SmackDown's in the fucking shitters. SmackDown is on broadcast television, and there's week they struggle to fucking get over the 2 million mark. Charlie Flair just brought him back another 200,000+ viewers. Backwards. Raw, 1.595. Because your own champions are not looked at or viewed as champions. Jared9 Gaming. Thank you so much. So good to have that back, man. It really gets BC's wheels a-spinning. Until next time, and there will be a next time, to my entire amplified unit, my red team go, my gold unit, my channel member. What a fucking past couple of days for my channel members, man. Wow, have you guys been bringing the amplification, getting me even more amped up. And to all my super thankers from that last podcast, I can't even... absolutely humbled by the respect and appreciation you guys have for the channel, and I gotta dish it right the fuck back to you. This was going to be about a half an hour to a 45-minute podcast. Here we are going over an hour. The amplified unit, we the fucking ones. Everybody else, far distant twos. Amplified, man. Top guy, I'm out. BC saying check you.